And we're gonna have with us Davide Costa. Please welcome to stage. Davide Costa is the co-founder of Quadrans Foundation and is also an entrepreneur, blockchain enthusiast, founder of Food Chain Spa, the transparent fruit chain. That's a startup providing efficiency and transparency through the sector. He's also a co-founder of Quadrans Foundation since 2018. And he's passionate about coding cryptocurrency ecosystems and has built, actually you have a background on proof of work mining since 2012. So you were mining in 2012.
Yes, thank you, Willy. Yeah, I started Bitcoin mining in 2012, but it was very hard also at that time. So I can say that nowadays. And I started approaching the blockchain technology very early, and after that I understand that the financial application will be the first and the most important one. But after that experience, I decided with my colleagues to start a new approach, another approach of blockchain application and Web3 application, especially when Ethereum comes up in 2015. So we decided to create a blockchain which was created by the Quadrans Foundation, which aimed to provide tools and software for companies, for industries. So the first application that we want to address was the supply chain. So starting from that point, nowadays we are working on different businesses, and we will see during this conversation also a concrete example of this application that was born in these few days.
I love the use cases and love your trajectory because you realize that crypto blockchain is for more applications than the financial at least layer, whether that's Bitcoin or cryptocurrencies themselves, and you really started to build towards a future where blockchain can be implemented in real use cases, in this case, the supply chain, right? So let's talk about that. Like, how can blockchain help the supply chain of all these businesses around the world? What's the use case?
Yeah, basically, if we can make available the presentation, I can start talking just a little bit about our vision, because the Quadrans blockchain was born for specific needs that we saw in 2014 and 15. So basically, one of the main concepts that I envision and we envision is that start basically from a concept of physics that everybody and all the world can be described as a composite process of happenings delimited in space and time. So knowing this concept, we can describe the world and also ourselves, basically. Nowadays, we are in an era that we call the zettabyte era. So basically, one zettabyte is 1 trillion gigabyte. So in 2022, we are producing all over the world 100 zettabyte, and we expected that number will double in a few years. So the blockchain technology arose in these years, in the last decades, basically, and we cannot ignore the role of the blockchain nowadays. It's almost a technology that is on the market, is present, and is growing very fast. In our vision, the blockchain can also be seen as a time chain. So at a specific point in time, we can describe the world. So we can describe the world in a way that is immutable, which is guaranteed by the different consensus algorithms that are specific of different blockchain technology. And this world, exactly as the real world, can be described at time t, so now, and at time t plus 1, so exactly an instant after that. And this plus 1 in the blockchain concept is the block time. So we want to exploit these characteristics of the blockchain to describe the world. So starting from the supply chain, so the industry, and also apply this concept to any different the industry that can benefit from this concept. One of the main and important things that the blockchain can provide is the immutability. So if you want to tamper some data, basically the chain will be break. So it's something that it's impossible to do. So if you provide an information about something, about goods, about any kind of things, this cannot be changed, and no one can do that. So knowing these characteristics, we are still asking why we need to use blockchain to describe the world, and it's something that arises from also from problems that a few years ago were not a problem, but nowadays they are. So where your energy comes from? So you are producing energy from petrochemical sources or some green energy. How to know where your energy comes from? If there are no source of data that is reliable, that you can trust, or maybe worse, the food supply chain. Do you know that your food is coming from a lab, or do you know that your food comes from the field? So real beef versus the so-called laboratory meat. So these are questions that the more the time goes on, the more the people start asking. So it's a trend that is a trend that all over the world is spreading, and we want to provide an answer and a solution for that. So Quadrans blockchain was born exactly for that reasons. And one of the most important reasons that is coming from this reasoning is that we envision a basic concept. So today we can imagine that the value of a product is the value of the product itself. So 100% is the value of the product, 0% is the value of the information related to a product. But the more the times go on and the industrial automation and the technology advances in producing foods, textile clothes, any kind of devices, electronic devices, the more important is the information related to the product. So we are still not there, but in a near future, we can imagine that the value of the product will be exactly the value of the information associated with that. And when this point will be reached, the blockchain technology will play a huge role in this kind of application, because you will need to digitalize the information associated to the product to make it accessible to the consumer, to the retailers, and to make it verifiable by public bodies, certification authorities, and stakeholders, and so on. So again, why we need to use, again, the blockchain? To store specific information. Today's blockchain technology is not capable of storing a lot of data, but we can provide the so-called integrity of the data, and which data you want to store. Those are just a few examples. So for what regarding the food industry, we can make, and for any kind of goods, we can create the so-called digital twin. So an exact copy of the product in the digital space, maybe in the Web3 space. So we want to select some specific information that are very important for the guarantee of the product. So not anyone can provide the proof that those, for example, analysis has been conducted on the product. And there are specific analyses like the SNF NMR, DNA analysis, and biochemical analysis, and many others that can be verified. So the technology will provide in the near future at low cost the proof that some food, for example, has some specific characteristics, and those specific information have to be stored in the blockchain. Another example is the energy sector. We can provide, thanks to IoT technology, the proof of energy produced, the proof of energy consumed, the proof of the energy has been exchanged thanks to grid systems, and we are conducting some pilot project with the Italian ministry on that. This is the example of the device that directly can create a transaction in the Quadrans blockchain, storing the energy consumed by a specific appliance. So the applications are mostly in the so-called energy community. So we want to create communities that can exchange energy in a peer-to-peer way and provide and have some specific discount maybe or specific benefits in using systems like that. Other sector in which we are working, and basically we are not working in all this sector, but there are a network of companies that is using the Quadrans blockchain. For example, in the legal sector, also, it's something that we didn't expect at the beginning, in the healthcare, in the pharmaceutical sector, and many others. So this principle of creating a value from the digital information of the product can be applied also to many different sectors, and the limit is just your fantasy. Just a quick overview of the Quadrans blockchain technology, not entering too many technical details. The network will produce 1 QDC per day. The transaction cost is very, very cheap, and also is exactly how the Lugan Plan B blockchain is something that is very low energy consumption. One characteristic that is different from any other kind of blockchain is that the Quadrans protocol will be quantum proof ready very soon. So we are working on post-quantum cryptography and quantum cryptography also to protect the technology from eventually the attack of the event of quantum computing. So this is make Quadrans unique in the blockchain space. And that's it. This is the Quadrans effect.
Thank you very much, Davide. Thank you very much. That was a very accurate description. Thank you to introduce. I'm going to be a quick summary, and maybe after that we can showcase a real use case of the Quadrans in some product that I know that you're working on. So, al final lo que hemos hablado hoy con Davide sobre el uso de la blockchain real. Es decir, más allá de la especulación, más allá de la capa financiera, como puede ser las criptomonedas, ¿para qué podemos usar la blockchain para realmente un uso real? ¿Y por qué no puede ser ignorada? De hecho, Davide nos decía que la blockchain se puede usar para describir el mundo. Nos decía que cada vez más se produce más información en el mundo y que los productos ya no solo tienen la utilidad y el valor por el producto, sino también por la información que trae ese producto, ya sea desde el origen, todo el proceso que ha seguido o incluso hacia dónde va. Entonces la blockchain se puede usar para eso, de alguna manera para ordeñar, para exprimir, para usar esa información. Y bueno, la blockchain tiene esta capacidad o esta cualidad de inmutabilidad. Si pones una información dentro de la blockchain, no la puedes cambiar. ¿Y con eso qué podemos conseguir? Integridad. Al final, si pudieras escoger, si tu energía proviene de fuentes fósiles o de energías renovables, ¿qué harías? ¿Escogerías una cosa o la otra? O si pudieras escoger si la carne que comes viene de un laboratorio o viene de otro lado, pues si tuvieras la capacidad de poder escoger que eso viene de aquí o viene de allí, tendrías una información que podrías usar. Y la blockchain permite esto. La blockchain permite de alguna manera rastrear toda esta información y asegurarte de que lo que estás haciendo, comiendo, consumiendo, es lo que tú quieres que sea. Y en ese sentido, Quadrans quiere usar la blockchain para rastrear esa cadena de suministro, ese supply chain, que puede ser pues, en la energía, en la carne, pero también en el sector legal, en el sector de la salud, en el sector de la educación, de las ventas, etc. Y bueno, Quadrans lo está haciendo, es una realidad, es su propia blockchain que está haciendo esto, nos ha enseñado un poco de datos y lo que destaca es que está trabajando también con vistas a el posible uso de la computación cuántica, que se dice que es uno de los peligros que puede corromper la criptografía de la blockchain. Es decir, la blockchain está protegida por un sistema criptográfico, por un sistema de matemáticas, básicamente, y si hubiera un ordenador cuántico que es mucho más potente que los sistemas que hay hoy en día, pues podría romperse esa inmutabilidad. Y lo que dice David es que bueno, pues Quadrans está trabajando ya con vistas a protegerse de ese posible riesgo de computación cuántica. Así que, bueno, me ha parecido una presentación súper completa, explicando qué es Quadrans y por qué podemos usar blockchain para la cadena de suministros. And now maybe you have an example of how you're using this in a real chain, in a real product with Eivichain, right? Could you say a little bit more about that?
Yes, thanks to Remo, we have the possibility to showcase our Eivichain. And we created just a little demo about one of the main applications that it's possible to create on Quadrans. So the application is a Web3 application, and it's created by the company Food Chain, which is also running by me. And if we can show basically the example, it's something that you can touch with your hands. It's a QR code, and the QR code describes the olive plants that is over there, and it's like an example that I talked before. So the company, thanks to a Web3 interface, can provide information about the product. And so they can guarantee the authenticity, they can guarantee the integrity, and they can guarantee the timestamp of the data. And the final consumer can, thanks to a very simple camera, scan the QR code and get the information about the product. So if we can, in a few seconds, run the example of the
Great.
QR code read on the screen, I can provide you all the information, because it's not only the fact that you provide information, but you need to collect in a specific way that can be useful for everybody. So in the last year we conducted some analysis on which data are more interesting for people. So basically the first one is the provenance, so where the product comes from. And then
the origin, right? Origin.
The origin of the product. So, or how the product has been processed, or where there has been stored. So there are different information depending on the industry. So the food one is one of the most productive in this sense, because we need to eat every day.
So basically this is like an olive tree, and you have the QR code. The origin of this olive tree has been, the information of all the process has been put into the blockchain, and through scanning the QR code, you can have all this information, right? You can see how that information that is put there and not touched, because you cannot, because it's secured by the blockchain. Exactly. You can then have a tracking of everything that happened.
Yeah, in a few seconds you will see that there is a loader that show that the information is retrieved from different block of the blockchain, because information has been written in different time. So what we were talking before. So in a block, you provide a piece of information, in another block, another piece of information, and the application, the Web3 application, has the capability to retrieve those data and show also pictures, documents that are stored also in a decentralized way, because they are stored using IPFS technology, which is the same that used for NFTs and any kind of blockchain application. So providing the most effective decentralization of for the application, basically.
Nice. Let's see if we can do the demo, and great.
So you can, if you can reload the page, you can simulate the. Okay. So what we are talking about? So. The counter is that we see before is the blocks that are retrieved from the blockchain. Here is the picture to make a first visual identification of the product, the provenance,
where it comes from,
the description, the composition. So the product just land here in Ibiza. Because I think that the quality, if I'm not wrong, is other places, but if you go to processing tab, we can see the processing that the product has been.
It has been bought until 2017. So the whole history of the purchase and the product is stamped in the blockchain in a way.
So we can go on the places. And each piece of information has its own integrity and its own content in IPFS. So we can have a direct correlation between the pieces of information and the picture, for example, pieces of data.
So the picture is also stored in a way in a decentralized network like IPFS.
Yeah. One of the most important things is the certification. So here we have emulated a certification authority, or a certification body. But in our experience, we used this specific tab, which is another company account, another wallet. So we can provide that this certificate has been issued by another entity, which is not the company that provided the data. So in our model, each company of the supply chain has its own address, its own integrity of the data, and there are specific roles, for example, a certification body that can issue a certificate for the company. So this is very important, for example, in all the countries like Spain, Italy, France, that are a lot of product with certificate of origin. And this is the most important application. We are working, for example, with the citrus district in Sicily. So the citrus of Sicily are one of the most appreciated in the world. And they want to be, the district want to place the certification body, have their place, their visibility in the chain. Because they want to be sure that only those products can have the brand of the certification. So in this example, there is no image, no description, because we have no certification body and certification authority. But anyone can imagine, for example, we conducted a test with the PAFC, which is for the wood, and they put their brand on the QR code, so that anyone can immediately understand that the paper is recycled, at least at 50%. And it's something that is really important because it allows to describe the entire supply chain.
Thank you, Davide, for showing us such a clear example of how you can use blockchain for supply chain. Thank you for showing, and thank you for sharing some time with us. I don't know if anyone may have any questions for Davide. In that case, thank you very much for your time, and see you soon.
Thank you.